Welcome, welcome.
Are we
Thank you. We
okay?
are live. Thank you for joining us for another episode of
Black Money Matters
Black
time
Money
today.
Matters. Yes,
And Jameca, I'm glad we're here
I
today.
am too.
And I'm excited about the conversation we're going to have because I'm going to tell you something. Before I introduce our guest, I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about when this show started.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions, one of the conversations we had was we were talking about money not turning over in the Black community.
That was
And we've
that
gotten
was.
so used to
Mhm.
spending our money with everybody else. We get paid, we go to their stores, their restaurants,
Mhm.
everything. We spend our money every place else. But when you think about it, when we were turning money over in the Black community, well, for Flint, 475 came through. I mean,
Mhm.
they busted up our
Mhm.
our
So
neighborhoods where
yeah,
we had our Black
yeah,
businesses and where we were
yeah,
turning things over.
yeah.
And
You
so,
saw 475
right. And that happened in
come
so many
through.
communities,
Yep, New
one way
York.
or another.
New
They
York,
took
you
our
had
economic
Seneca
base.
Village, you had Black Wall Street
Right,
happening in Oklahoma, you
right.
had so
So many.
or the disruption,
The
the
disruption of
bombing of
Black,
Black Wall Street, the all of
exactly.
those things that happened. But
And we got to be about our
we
business.
do,
And
we
that's why
do.
that's
So
why,
that's why this platform exists. That's
right.
why Black Money Matters exists.
So we can have these conversations.
Absolutely.
And today,
Today.
we're having a conversation with. He is the executive
Well, let's
director.
tell the people who we are first.
Oh,
Just in
okay.
case we
In
have some
case
new
we have
folks.
some new. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm Karen Weaver. I am one of your hosts.
And I'm Jameca
Thank
Patrick.
you.
I'm your other
I
host.
know it. I'm so excited about because I've been talking with Eric Culpepper for a while about coming on, and we've been talking
We
about
have.
this. And he's the executive director for Black Network Associates, and underneath it says connecting communities of color.
But underneath, let's talk about on the back of this card. Because I really like the back of this card.
Okay,
Oh, they
they
can't see
can't
it.
see that.
I'll tell you guys what it says. It says Black owned, Black operated, Black oriented, Black, all Black everything.
So, uh, and I remember I never asked him. And one day I said, what is Black Network Associates? I sure did. And when he started talking, I said, "Ooh, Jameca, we need to have him come on."
Mm-hmm.
And I told him that. I said, "You need to come on Black Money Matters. So talk to us." And thank you for being here.
Thank you so
Yeah, I
much.
appreciate that. I
So,
don't think you remember, Karen, but when I first approached you about Black Networks Associates,
Hmm.
we were at your campaign,
That's right.
and you were in the middle of all of that stuff going on, and we were just starting up at that time. It was about a year ago,
okay.
and then it was like later on after she circled back, she was like, "What is actually Black Networks Associates?" And then when I started explaining, she said, "That's exactly what we've been talking about." So
Mm-hmm.
might be a good idea to have you come on, explain a little bit more in terms of what we're doing in our organization.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the origin story. Uh, how all of this came about, how we got started, is that I'm sure you know
And
that.
we want you to talk into that mic too.
Okay. Now, I'm sure you're aware that I own a company.
Hmm.
I have a national insurance agency. And during the pandemic, we lost a lot of clients just like a lot of other businesses did.
It's
And
live,
so,
y'all.
what happened was a lot of those small groups that, we did employee benefits for, they
Mm-hmm.
disbanded. They just said, you know what, it's too expensive. We can't afford it. So we're dropping. So we were another statistic right in line with a lot of other Black owned businesses that were
Mm-hmm.
suffering, as a result of it. So what happened was right after the pandemic in 2021, we decided that we would start an organization that would bolster the economy for urban districts and people of color.
Okay.
And it was myself and one other gentleman. His name is William Murphy. He's a pastor that's in Saginaw.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came together to formulate BNA. But when we initially got started, I was borrowing money out of my company. So this is a labor of love. And we
Mm-hmm.
infused that capital into BNA in order to be able to establish it and get it grow. We put that C
Mm-hmm.
capital in and to get it growing. But what we found is that a number of businesses end up closing their doors
During
as a result.
COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was
A
like
lot of them.
47%. It was
And they were
I
a
was
lot
gonna
of black
say,
businesses
yeah,
went
it-
under. They
Yeah,
tanked.
I
And-
remember it was. Yeah, I remember those
Right.
like staggering
it was a
numbers.
big
Right.
number.
Yeah.
It was like 47%.
Mhm.
And what happened was a lot of those businesses that were deemed non-essential,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that, and there was other funding that was out there and that was available, but because they just wasn't aware of some of the other funding sources, just like we
Mhm.
talked about ARPA
Right.
and how there's other money that may be available. Well,
Mhm.
sometimes
Well, ARPA's gone, but okay.
that's gone.
Right.
But you know, even when that money is available, we
Mhm.
don't always have access or not privy or not understanding
Right.
like how to be able to access those dollars. And so this is what was happening during COVID. So when we came back, we figured we went to the drawing board and we started putting together plans to be able to grow our economies.
Mhm.
And now there are people who came before us who are a lot brilliant than I am. And one of them is Claude Anderson. He's a gentleman that wrote this book, Powernomics.
Okay.
Our organization is predicated on this Powernomics type principles or concepts.
Mhm.
And Dr. Claude Anderson, back in the 90s, he was talking about how we came into the situation as a group, how we must come out of it as a group, because there is no external forces that's going to come into our communities and be able to restore these things from the inside out. We have to do it internally
Absolutely.
as a people. And now, since I started with this organization, just kind of give you a little background.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, what's the concept of this organization? Mm-hmm.
And so,
Because we want people to join the organization.
Yeah.
So sell
we'll
it.
get into the nitty gritty.
Okay.
But what happened was we looked at other communities of color that was doing well.
Mhm.
And so we got there are communities that are in Illinois, there are communities in Tennessee, there's communities that are in North Carolina. And one of the things that we saw when they are thriving in these communities is that there's a sense of unity.
Mhm.
There's some
Oh.
cohesion.
Wow.
And what's happening is they're cycling those
sense of
dollars
unity.
in their community in a way that bolsters the economy. And so what we're trying to do is take that as a microcosm
Mhm.
and mirror that in other communities. Because what I find is when you're looking at communities that there's discord amongst people of color,
Mhm.
you're going to see depressed economies.
Okay, so that's Flint.
I was just
Saginaw.
gonna say.
Saginaw. Right. Right.
Wherever you're not
It's
coalescing,
it's
you're going to
communities.
see these like
Mhm.
broken economies in these
Mhm.
urban districts.
Right.
So sort of, it just makes me think of like divide and conquer. Like if
Well,
people aren't moving together in one direction, then what's happening?
Yeah, but it's a little deeper than that. I think it's some psychological ramifications from the fallout of the transatlantic, the 200-year thing that
Oh,
happened
yeah.
is alive.
Absolutely.
It's alive and well.
Absolutely.
And you know what happens with that is because you look at other communities that are
Mhm.
thriving,
Yes.
and then you see it's a disconnect mentally.
Mhm.
We already know that there's strength in numbers. It's like why we're not doing it. There's something else. There's a
Right. There's
disconnect.
something else.
It's a disconnect that's happening there. And this is why we've had to retool Black Networks Associates. Like we had to restructure like 3 times since we started.
Oh wow.
Because you know when we first started, we have a lot on our platform, which I'm going to get into, but you know we had a very minimal cost
Mhm.
because again we were doing group economics. You know, bring everybody in a little bit, you share a little bit, we can be able to do a lot together. That was the concept. But we were still having a lot of disconnect with membership and driving membership and things of that nature.
Mhm.
And so now, as you can see, we offer a free where members can come on and there's no cost.
Okay. Well, wait. I'm confused. Well, I'm not confused, but if people are listening, they say membership. What
To what?
to
Yeah.
Membership to what?
Yeah, membership for BNA, there are 3 levels.
Okay. And what
a
do you
basic-
get? Yeah.
A basic membership is when you're coming in, there's no cost.
Okay.
But what we provide is an opportunity for people of color in urban districts to be able to network.
Is this for business people?
This is for business, and this is for entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
solopreneurs, people that want to be able to grow their networks. Because we already know that when you start networking with other people in your community, it opens up doors to it's a
Right.
segue to other opportunities.
Right.
What we find is that a lot of times people of color, we don't network with each other.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we don't know where other businesses are.
Right.
You can live in a community your whole life and you can be like, I didn't realize that so and so was over there or
Right.
so and so until you start talking to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've done is built a platform, and this is why we removed the barrier to cost so that folks can be able to just sign up and still begin to be able to grow their networks. Now, the other part of what we did is we created a professional network organization. This is a little different because you got individuals that go out and they'll join like a BNI or
Mm-hmm.
they'll Kiwanis or Rotarian. There's
Mhm.
other, direct service organizations that you can join. What we did is that there's no cost
Mm-hmm.
to create a chapter. And what's also nice about that is that you can hold workshops for free. You can do your Zoom meetings and everything on our platform at no
Mm-hmm.
cost. You can schedule meetings. So we have an event scheduler that's on our platform that is at no cost. Again, we see a lot of nonprofit
So you
organizations.
provide services to individuals that are going into business or that are already in business.
We
Are
do.
you like a black chamber?
Pretty similar.
Okay.
Because we not only try to segue into startup capital,
Mm-hmm.
there's like crowdfunding,
Mhm.
equity sorts. We have a lot of different funding sources that are on our platform that we can be able to tie people into. But not only that, we give them the tools, the business development tools, which I'm going to get into that. 'Cause that's a
Okay.
whole nother thing that, the technology piece of it
Mm-hmm.
and how we need to be tapping technology in order to be getting into that, talking about like digital marketing and SEO with search engine optimization and being able to have a digital storefront online and having an online presence and being able to drive traffic to a website. And so we'll talk a little bit about that because there's actually two organizations that we have that's under our umbrella for BNA. One is we're talking about the networking, which that's what BNA is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another organization which is all about web development. It's called High Impact Web Design. And High
Okay,
Impact
you all hear that? High impact
High
web
Impact Web
design.
Designs. When you come on as a member in the pro level for BNA, you get High Impact as well.
Mm-hmm.
And High Impact is all about the marketing and digital marketing. Uh, we have a proprietary marketing system on that platform that we teach people how to be able to do their own digital marketing. Because a lot of times what we find is that Black-owned business owners, they'll be really heavy into Google and thinking that Google is the only way to drive traffic to their website.
It's not.
Google can be very expensive because it's really a click campaign. And if you understand, it's like you're paying for, you have the organic and you have the paid section for Google. Well, what happens is anytime somebody's clicking through to your website, you're paying for that click, that what they call a pay per click.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically what you're paying for is clicks, not customers. So what we're doing is we're changing that dynamic
Mm-hmm.
and we're showing people of color how they can be able to drive massive traffic to their websites for a fraction of the cost of what you're going to pay for Google.
So go ahead, Jameca.
So I have a business, right?
Yeah.
And walk me through it. So if I get on your, and I'm just going to tell you some of the real things that the business struggles with. So if I were to join the Black Network Associations with my business and I needed help with web design and setting up virtual workshops, are those like things that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something that we have. Our websites they're not static websites, they're dynamic.
Okay.
And that dynamic, well, that came out of nowhere.
I know, right?
That the dynamic websites have what we call a CRM,
Okay.
a customer relation management system. And so it's just like what we did with Youth Development Corporation in Saginaw.
Mm-hmm.
When we took over and built a website for them, they did not have an intake for their students.
Okay.
So what we did is we created a management system on the back end of their website. So it's doing something more than just being a billboard of information. It's a functional website that actually can start from start from finish, take a student from right from the beginning, right all the way through the enrollment process, right up until where they start doing their classwork.
And that was going to be my question. So for those of us who aren't like real tech savvy, when you say dynamic, you're talking like interactive, or what does that mean?
Well, yeah, it means that exactly. It's more interactive. It's functional in the sense that we have integrations in our website.
Okay.
So we can put just about anything into a website. It's a total customization type project that we put in. So if you need to have translation buttons, if you need to have member portals, if you need to have payment gateways on the front end, like we do for churches all the time, and we have to put in like, if they're going to take in donations and do that. So we put those integrations into those websites. So it's more functional, but we take it a step further because what we found is that most times when we look at Black-owned businesses, they don't really know who their customer base is.
Right.
They don't know who their prospects are. They don't know what pipelines and funnels are. They don't know how to be able to stay top of mind marketing, where it's like you might have an email campaign or you might be doing SMS with like doing text messages and things like that. There are so many different avenues and approaches to being able to grow your business. And that's what I mean, that we are in a tech area now. See, and I'm a technical expert,
and you're about helping people grow their business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And that's what we need. We need to know about this.
Yeah.
And we need access. Access.
I'm fascinated.
I know, because I mean, when you think about some of the other places, it's very costly to join a group like this. It's very, it's difficult to get access to those kinds of resources.
And it's difficult for, Black businesses to be able to get like that attention that we deserve. Like you get someplace and you're lost, and you don't get the same level of attention that other groups get. So it's so I'm fascinated and I'm excited and I'm just like, we should all
people need
we should all join your association and the when you talk about those numbers, those staggering numbers that happened during COVID, what could have happened had we all
closer to the mic
joined?
Yeah.
No, people said
people are
closer to the mic.
People who are listening want you to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me pull that in just a little.
Okay. Philip is all up in here. Okay.
Yeah,
I can see it, but I can't.
Let me see. Philip
is that better?
E-commerce and marketing,
advertising. Oh, because I think this is
promotion.
right up Philip's alley.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually.
Do you want him to talk about some of those things, Philip? Is that what you're saying? Businesses creating a card space, hosting each other's links.
What's the question?
What's your
tracking for people who don't like tracking cookies?
put your
Ways
specific
to make
question in, Philip.
Cooperative to help you help them.
Are these suggestions, thoughts, or questions? So while we wait on Philip to circle back, because it's going to take us a minute to catch up with what he typed.
He said, no, he's hitting everything I'm thinking. As he said, as he's thinking it, you're saying it. And that, Philip, I told you we were going to get you.
Okay, we're not done. We're not done yet.
Oh, and he's not done yet. Come on.
I'm still unpacking.
Okay.
And so on the website, we had to scale it down in a way that makes the information accessible to everyone. So what we did is we integrated something which is called a learning management system. Now, we pay a lot of money for that. But what it does is it walks people through how to be able to utilize the website. But not only that, it has coursework. So we have everything from, there's a lot of subject matter that we have on our platform covering finance, money, investment, marketing. So we have a lot of that on the website so that, if people want to take the time to actually learn how to be able to do some of these other things, they can do it at their leisure. They can log in, they can be able to take a course. Some of them are certified. Now, these are not like courses where, they're accredited, but, you're getting your own personal edification by learning some of these techniques and concepts. So we have a lot of things like that, integrations that are on the website. Something else that we have on there is called a push notification. I'm going to tell you, it's highly underutilized, but I'm going to tell you why this is a powerful asset for our people in our community.
Why?
And one of them is that what if you had the ability to send a message to every user on Facebook in one go.
Okay.
That's what we have. It's a broadcast communication system, because what we found is because a lot of times people didn't know what they don't know.
Right.
And so we created a broadcast communication system. It's called push notification. And so any member can go on and they can post a message that will broadcast to everyone on the net. So if you're finding that there's funding sources, if you're finding information, what we're doing is becoming a collective by having a broadcast communication system set up like that. And so there are a lot of other integrations that we have on our website. But like I said, we had to be able to scale it with our learning management system so that everyone can understand what these programs, what these systems are that we have in place so that they can begin to utilize it.
So I have questions. It says, how accessible is the program and who can use it?
Anyone. Even if you're signing up on the basic level for free.
So you have to go to Black Network Associates.
And you can sign up for a basic level.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can build networks, you can start chapters, you can take classes, there's a lot of things you can do
that are just free. Okay.
In that free version.
And
right.
and the website is Black Network
Associates.com.
Nikki, can you put that in the
Black Network Associates.com? And it's free. But there are different levels. So there's a free level, but you still have access to information and resources.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now let me talk a little bit about the other levels that we have.
Yeah.
Real quick. And so one of them is that we have a directory.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a dynamic directory that we have, the BNA directory.
Jameca's just laughing. What?
I'm excited because remember we talked about needing this.
I remember. Look, that was one of our first Black Money Matters. And that was... about 3 years ago.
So, when you go and look at some of the impressions that we have, they're like in the thousands. We got companies on there that get like over 2,000-3,000 impressions.
You all go sign up.
I'm signing up tonight
on their directory listing, and our listings are doing something a little different than Yout's and Google. It has an interactive function, so if people are showing up and they see your listing, they can actually talk to you back and forth.
Okay, that was my other question. Can you communicate?
You can communicate back and forth.
Okay.
We also have video. We have a geo map that you can also integrate so that companies or businesses that have a physical location, you can actually click on a button. That person can click on a button and it'll give them directions directly right to their doorstep. So there are a lot of things that we have on our listings that a lot of times you won't find even on Google.
Mm-hmm.
And then also when you are a member, what happens is your profile will get connected to your listing. So now you can put a name with the face as opposed to just having a company. You can actually know who that executive director, who that.
But this seems like a Black Network Associate.
The link.
Oh, he put it in. Okay.
Is that what he did? Okay. Thank you.
I want to know. So, okay. What was I was going to say? This is like a well-kept secret.
Yeah.
That we need to get out. We need to let the secret out. Let the cat out the bag.
To tell
people need to know about Black Network Associates.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talked about wanting to support small business and entrepreneurship. But you could have do big businesses come there as well, or they don't, or is it mostly for small business? That's good because small business needs help. Because we don't have access, we don't have that access that the big ones have.
But a peculiar thing has happened since we started this journey.
Okay.
It's like we started where we were trying to approach, small business owners and things like that. But then what happened was we started falling in with other nonprofit organizations.
Urban
development. Well, what happened was just like with youth development. I'll give you that as an example.
Okay.
With Youth Development Corporation in Saginaw, they take at-risk youth. And they, take them through this program where they can get their skill training.
Right, I've been there. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happens is afterwards, some of these kids want to, they take the entrepreneur route.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we come in.
Okay.
So it's an unforeseen thing that has kind of occurred.
Okay.
With us going down this road, because now we're still working with small businesses, but a lot of times we do that through other nonprofit organizations because they're doing urban development like us. So we're all just kind of like coalescing and coming together. And I'm like, if you have people that you're trying to stimulate and do business development for, well, we become that arm for that nonprofit organization to be able to segue in for doing economic development for them. So that's
Okay.
how it's just starting to work out now. So, um, we didn't plan it that way. It just kind of worked itself in
Mm-hmm.
to kind of, going down that road. And
I
so,
just I want to say it again that if you're a small business entrepreneur, you need to get involved with Black Network Associates. You need to join it. Now you said there's a free level, but there are what, 2 other
there's
levels?
2 other levels.
Okay, tell us what those levels are and what you get.
In the free level, we mentioned about how you can get um, the scheduled, the directories and one. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
happens is when you move up to what we call the premium level, it's where you get the directory listing.
Okay.
And so, as I mentioned before, there are some integrations that we have on our directory listings that's kind of head and shoulders over some of the other. And then we do something a little different on our directories. We have it designated as Black owned with the Google. So whenever we start, developing in a particular area, we can actually put that on Google, and that's what drives more exposure. So
So
when
when people are
anyone
looking
sat
for
down and they're
Black-owned.
Googling for Black owned, our directories are popping up,
Okay.
front and center. So we
That's
get a lot.
awesome.
That's how we get a lot of exposure, on our
Mm-hmm.
directory. The next step up from that is the professional level, what we
Mm-hmm.
call the pro level. The pro level is a bundle. That is where you get both BNA, Black Networks Associates. You become a member of BNA, and you'll also become a member on High Impact Web
Okay.
Design. Because what we found is that a lot of times people that come to us, they don't want everything in terms of the marketing piece of it. So we kept those two separate. And so now, if anyone just want to be able to, do direct marketing, if they want to be able to do digital marketing, if they want to do any of those types of things, we reserve that on the High Impact. So there's just a wealth of marketing information on the High Impact. I mean, it's like we could throw you in the deep
You
end of
could
the
grow
pool.
to that level though if you wanted to. You
Yeah.
could start down here at the basic.
Yeah, it just
And
depends on
as
what
you're
your commitment and your
Mhm.
dedication, because we'll throw you in the deep end of the pool if you want to know marketing. Because that's my background. Business development and marketing is in my background.
Okay.
It's
Well, you were talking about these levels, but I remember when we talked and you were going through some of like the pricing and stuff, and I was just like floored with how affordable
Right.
Yeah.
everything is.
because at that pro level, it's only $40. But you're getting the website built,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting the CRMs that we were talking about. That includes the directory listing, and then it
Mhm.
includes everything else with the BNA.
So can
So
organizations join? What if
Yeah.
an organization, because you said you do something with churches also
We
and
do
other
we do a
organizations.
lot with churches, because as I mentioned before, Powernomics
Mm-hmm.
in chapter 5, 6, and 8, it talks about how churches are a backbone. And so we created a coalition for churches. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is that we're trying to bring technology into like Black churches.
Mm-hmm.
So that just like what you have here and how it's set up and things like that, we're trying to get them to be able to come on our platform, and we have where they can be able to do their podcasts, and it broadcasts the message out
Mm-hmm.
everywhere on all these different platforms. There was a company that was called Anchor FM, and it was a podcast hosting service that was free. But what we're finding is Spotify is like gobbling them up now. It's
Okay.
like mergers and acquisitions in that space because podcasts are becoming very popular. And so what we're finding now is and we're trying to get churches to go in this direction where we can be able to broadcast their message. But we're doing something a little different for churches too, is where they can be able to host their sermons on our platform as well.
Okay.
So it's another way to be able to communicate and get their message out to the community, to their members. So even if somebody traveling
right,
their
Philip.
way, they can still be able to have access to those sermons.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that we have for churches on our platform.
And you're helping
Yeah.
them to like be able to collect donations and
Yeah.
or accept
That's
donations
the
and
payment
things like
gateways that
that.
we can put on there where they can be able to collect donations from their website. They'll be able to host their sermons on their website. We have it where we're going to be able to set up where they can be able to actually do their Bible studies and that virtually as well. So that's
Okay.
something that
And
we're
so,
working
That's
on.
beautiful.
okay, so for someone that doesn't understand, how is that different than, well, I can do that on Facebook.
I know we do get a lot of that.
Okay, so what do you say?
We do get a lot of that.
Uh-huh.
On the, I
What's
agree
the
with
different?
everyone. I agree with everyone that you should have uh, a social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree that you should be trying to build your brand
Mm-hmm.
on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like Karen, I think I built my insurance agency right before the pandemic. We were at 1.25 million. We were just a little around in that area. We dipped way down after that pandemic hit.
Okay.
But how I grew my organization, it wasn't in social media. It was some of these other digital marketing concepts and techniques that I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
that most people are unaware of. And it's like you can do these things on a shoestring. It's
Mm-hmm.
just you just don't know what you don't
Right.
know. And so what we try to do is bridge the gap between the knowledge of, you know, feeling like you have to be over a barrel with Google and with,
Mm-hmm.
doing social media, because when you start posting and start paying money to have to, boost your ads and your posts in those environment, it gets very expensive real fast.
Right.
So we're trying to show people that there's another avenue to be able to drive business and convert clients without breaking the bank.
So what kind of, because I'm thinking about how you're talking about somebody purchase or does the professional level and they need help with like their website and things like that. What type of technical support are they? And I'm going to be transparent.
I
I'm
think
thinking
she's
about me
asking. I was gonna say, yeah,
because I'm not techie,
right.
but these are things that I would say, oh, let me try this, and then I would get in there and I would just be like,
Yeah, frozen.
Right. Right.
No, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good question. And part of it is the learning management system.
Mm-hmm.
The courses that we have on there just breaks everything down.
Okay.
And so what I do is I'll get my grandkids and I'll say, does that make sense? And they're going, yeah, granddad, that makes sense. So then I'm like, I know that we've made it simple enough so that, a novice that really
Okay.
doesn't have any technical,
That'd be me.
expertise could walk through it. But then the other part is like, if you go to the website, you'll see down at the bottom, there's like a chat button.
Okay.
We got people standing by from, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So if you got questions,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to click on there and you can actually have somebody walk you through if
Okay.
you get hung up
Over
on
that
something.
hurdle that you're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to offer the support. We're going to give you the tools, and then we're going to offer the support on the back end to help walk you through some of these processes, because it can be overwhelming. When you start, getting into a lot of the technical and the digital aspects of things like that. So
Yeah, especially if that's not your thing, and sometimes you say, because this is what I think about with websites. On one hand, I think, you know what, just pay somebody to do your website. But then I'm nervous that I pay somebody to do my website and things are changing. And now I don't know how to go on my website and change. So then I think, well, that's something I need to do. And so I know how to go in and make changes and do different things.
well, yeah, we do concierge service. So we do all the maintenance on the websites for our
Okay.
clients.
Okay.
So, I have, like, that I got nonprofits in New York and New
Mm-hmm.
Jersey. And we got one that's Urban Times News. And we do a lot of graphics designs for them.
Okay.
Because what happens, they have print and then they have online advertising. And then they advertise in both mediums. And so sometimes they'll need us to do the graphic work for them. We don't charge them any additional money. We do the graphic work just based on their membership and being part of BNA.
Wow.
And so when we approached this company, they said, you guys are a godsend. We
Mm-hmm.
have been looking for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, we were looking for somebody like you guys, because everything else was like so far outside of their pricing range.
I was gonna say affordability.
It was it was outrageous. They couldn't afford it. And so what you're finding is, like, in a lot of nonprofit space, that's one of the things that they're faced with. It's budget constraints. So this is why I think we're getting a lot of traction with nonprofits as well.
And there's a lot there.
There is.
There's a lot there.
I'm there.
Look, you know what? And all of this came from one little question. What is Black Network Association?
But I'm thinking
Yeah.
that this information is so good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we could stop this conversation with one.
I mean,
episode.
If
I
you
really
guys will
don't.
welcome me back, I'll be more than happy.
because we need to keep
come, you know.
talking about this.
because if you think about it, if you think about when we started
Right.
and what we talked about,
Right.
and those like
It was-
things that we identify as like needs and barriers, it's so much of it
Mm-hmm.
that whole how do I know who's a Black business that I want to support? And if I'm a Black business, who supports me?
Who
And
supports me and who's going to support me in those kinds of areas that you just talked
right,
about?
right,
You know,
because
you don't even know
those
where
are
to
the
turn
areas that we
sometimes.
lack.
Right.
Like I may have a great service, and I believe I do. I mean,
Okay.
that's my shameless plug. I mean, a great service, but if I don't know how to get it out there, I don't know how to advertise, I don't know how to connect with other people who
Right.
need my service, then I'm just sitting at home with a great service,
Mm-hmm.
with the skill set that I'm willing to help, but I can't because I don't know. And so these are some of those things that we need to talk about.
Right.
And then on top of that, it's very important that we're intentional about supporting Black business, because we have to make sure, we have to figure out a way to make our dollar turn over in our community.
And also supporting by giving us access to those resources that we need to be successful.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
But I want to know if when I go to New York or wherever I'm going, I want to be able to say, you know what, where are the Black businesses here?
Yeah.
Where do where do I go eat? Where do I go spend my shopping dollars? Like,
Mhm.
where are the Black businesses? And
right.
I want to be able to do that. I don't want to have to happen upon it.
Or I need a plumber.
Right.
I need,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
that kind of person. You know, I need a service done.
Right.
Yeah, it's a grassroots movement for us because, there are a lot of little small directories that are
Mhm.
out there that support Black businesses. But what we're trying to do is become one of the most comprehensive in the United
That's
States.
a big job.
It is. It is. It's a big undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
But so what we're trying to do is just create brush fires, like having conversations like this. And then as more people begin to understand what we're trying to accomplish, it's a concerted effort. We all have to be able to lock hands to make a true defined difference in our community. And so when we come together, it's a power that I've seen it in other communities play out. And when you see that dynamic, it's something that it's life changing. It's a game changer when we start actually coalescing and working in that way. And so I believe that when we have these conversations, more people will become aware that there are people that want to be able to come together, provide those resources, be able to pool our resources, and you will see more positive outcomes as a result of it. But it just starts with us, having conversations. Like this,
Right, because I didn't know it existed.
Yeah. Well, we're still relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like maybe a year and a half young.
Okay.
Wow,
So
you've
we-
done a lot.
So we got
for
a long
year and
ways.
half,
We got a long
yeah.
ways to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what motivates you every day to say, because this is a huge,
It is a huge undertaking.
yeah.
It is. It's a lot. I have it's like a blueprint for success where I want to take, Black Network. And part of that, the growth trend is building membership. And then
Okay.
after we build membership, I can be able to put more support staff in place.
Right. Right.
And as we grow, and like I said, I want to be able to have virtual chapters. What we're trying to do, we're the only organization that I know of that doesn't charge for, networking.
Mm-hmm.
Other network organizations, they charge a fee for that. And trust me when I tell you, it's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, we actually incent. So when I was saying we had to restructure, we actually pay out a commission or a referral bonus, or however you want to look at it, for members that are actually signing up. So when you invite someone to come, and I mean, it's not low dollar stuff. I mean, it's like 30% of the subscription fee.
Okay.
So, if you have more than 100 people that you actually invited and they sign up, that's like $1,200. upwards $1,500 a month. I mean, it's a nice little,
Right.
income for somebody. If
That's
all
some
you
extra
did
money.
was just invite people to come on our platform and they were signing up, you could make a pretty good living doing that.
Okay.
So what we had to do is
you all hear that?
Because I'm
it was the
thinking,
only way
Right.
that we could change behaviors is we have to incent our people to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Because just saying, hey, you know what, we need to do this, and you're not putting anything up for them in order to do it, they're not going to do
They're
it.
not
It's just
gonna
like
do
trying to
it.
have your kids clean up their bedroom and you're not giving them an allowance. Probably not going to happen. So you have to incent
Mm-hmm.
and give them some reason to be able to say, you know what, yeah, and then if it comes back in a positive aspect for them, then they'll be more prone to, continue to do it. So that's one of the things that we put in. That's something recent that we just have done on our platform.
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Are you about to read
I'm just
another question?
I'm looking. Philip is liking this.
This is right up. This is like right up the alley of when we were asking people what they wanted
Right.
to see,
That's
and
why I
this
told
is
him,
right
I
up
said,
the
we're gonna
alley
have
of what he
something
was
for
talking
you.
about.
Because he's all in here just,
Yeah.
agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah. So
And Nicole, she said that sounds awesome. Okay. It does, doesn't it? So
Mhm.
so
what
if you do nothing else,
today, tomorrow?
get some people to sign up.
Right. But they just go in, they type in blacknetworkassociate.com and they can
Yeah.
they're in there. And then they can join. They can decide, I'm gonna do the free membership. I'm gonna do what's the next level up? How much is the next
The
level?
premium is just for the listing.
Mm-hmm.
And then up from there is the professional that includes the high impact for the website.
Uh-huh.
And it includes
We
the
need to
listing. It
join.
includes everything.
So
including
so
being
I remember when we were talking and like I was sitting right there in front of the computer and got on and was able to play around. So I encourage people to get on, like
Yeah, I
look
did
around,
too.
go peek around in
Yeah.
there and see some of the things that you can see. Join. People need to join.
Right. They need
It's
to join.
free to join the basic level.
And and we're building our platform like every day. We're putting
That's
more
right,
stuff on
Nicole.
our platform,
Mhm.
building it out and trying to make it more comprehensive
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
provide more resources on our platform for everyone. So, everyone's needs are different and we know that. And so we're trying to have it, make it robust so that, if you're looking for funding sources or if you're looking to be able to connect with others, we want to have enough of those things that are on our platform that is
Mhm.
something for everybody, and it's you're right, it's a large undertaking, but
Mhm.
I think it's worthwhile. I think it's worth taking on.
I do too, and
Well, we
I
know there's a
appreciate
need
that
for it
you're
for
doing
sure.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that you're
Another
doing it.
bonus item too is that anyone that signs up, that book that we talked about, Powernomics,
Mm-hmm.
there's a PDF version. We have something which is called an e-library that's in there. So if you click, there's a collaboration folder. You click on that collaboration folder, it opens up. You can be able to go in and it'll have an e-library. And just like a regular library, you can download and upload and other publications and articles.
Mhm.
But that book is in there. It's called Powernomics.
Okay.
And I recommend anyone take the time to read chapter 5 and 6. It's what we're doing. It's how our organization is structured. It's predicated on these concepts and these principles that you would see in 5 and 6. And then church is really designated on chapter 8. There's a whole thing about church and how we can be able to really leg up our communities utilizing churches. But it's like some of these technologies that I was talking about.
But it's easy to read. It's easy reading. It's easily understood.
Yes.
Because sometimes that scares us away. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
No, it's an easy read.
Okay.
No, if I can comprehend it, pretty much everybody can comprehend it. It's a good read. But it'll give you some ideas into, where we're headed and what we're trying to achieve, with our organization. If you read those chapters in there, that's why we put it on there. We think it's important for most people to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And that book really just it's a blueprint for our success.
That's awesome.
So
why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing it because, like you said, I mean, a lot of businesses during COVID, how many was it? 42%?
It was 47%.
Right.
That's a lot.
That went out.
That's almost
right.
half.
That folded.
Oh, and we're talking nationwide. We're not talking
Right.
about in Flint and Saginaw and Bay City and any of our or in Detroit. We're talking like nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of
That's a lot of
businesses. That's a lot of people's livelihoods, and that's a lot of services to our community. And why was it our businesses that folded? Why did that happen?
I think it was by design. You know, it was.
That's what you think. You think it was by design? I think you're.
Imagine that.
You might be right.
Because it come down to market share. That market
Right.
share went out, and it went to other communities, and very little of it has come back. We're still struggling to be able to, bring a lot of that back to our communities now, and that's what this is all about: is how we can stimulate our economies now. And you look, we've traveled around the country when we first started. Because as a matter of fact, you go on the website, you'll see that we were in New Jersey when our commercial that we have on the website was in New Jersey.
Okay.
And I mean, those communities, some of them are on life support. I mean, it's nothing is coming in these urban districts at all. I mean, money is supposed to be pumped in for ARPA and things like that to help.
Okay, now we just heard about that before we came on, and we've been fussing about that, and that's why I said, I mean, this is just so important because
yeah, it is, because when
sometimes our communities are the last one to find out that there's money available.
Absolutely.
For our community.
Absolutely.
Or
and
we
by
find
the time
out
we
after
find
it's gone.
out it's gone. Yeah.
Find out after it's
or
gone.
there's very little left. We're left scrambling.
Right.
Fighting.
Well, you gotta have your
coin.
ass in by in 2 days. That kind of thing.
And they want all this information. And
right.
You're like,
so, but that made me think, because you said you have information on their resources if you're looking for different kinds of funding opportunities. So what if I'm looking through there? I said, "Oh, I need some help with this."
Yeah, we have resources on our platform. We have one of the most comprehensive funding. It's like a funding library on there, and what it does is it gives you all of these. It breaks it down, because we'll have like private funding, equity funding, crowd. It has all of the different ones. If you know how to do grant writing, it's got everything in there. So we look for all these different, and then there's even monies like specific for churches. But see, here's the thing: is that we're telling churches that they need to be filing for their 501c3 to become a nonprofit. And they'll be like, "Eric, well, why do we need to be a nonprofit?" I'm like, "Do you realize there's faith-based funding? If you are a nonprofit, you can get, hot school after, school, hot lunch programs. You can do all of that. It's just a lot of times we don't know how to like access this stuff. That's why, like, what happens when we start talking to each other, it's like a force. Because then it's like you start connecting the dots, and you're like, well, we didn't even know this program exists. We didn't even realize. Because there was another young lady we were talking about, and she wanted to purchase a house, and we were like, "Are you familiar with NACA?" And I didn't even know what NACA was.
That's a good program,
and that's a good program.
Yeah.
And I said, "Have you checked in with that source?" She was like, "I didn't know nothing about it." Then she came back. She said, "Oh, that program is really great."
Do they still do the zero interest?
They still do the
and
zero interest.
They don't require a minimum credit.
Nothing like that, right?
Yeah,
and they help you through the process,
so
you
get a case
especially
manager.
as a new home buyer, they're going to help you right through that process.
Yeah, that's a great program.
So it's those types of things that we just don't know what we don't know. But when we start talking to each other, it opens up doors for us,
Yeah.
We need to do more of that.
Can't be afraid. Can't be afraid to talk
because
to each other.
Right.
I remember.
Right. We shouldn't be
reaching out to them, because they do a lot in Detroit.
Okay.
And they were.
Do.
Pardon me.
They do.
They
do a lot.
They do a lot in Detroit. And back then, this was maybe 20. I don't know, 15. It was before we met. So I know it was before. It was a while ago, maybe 14 or 15. We were talking about them possibly coming and doing a workshop in Flint. And I can't remember what happened, but it didn't end up happening. But that's a great program that people around here, people everywhere, should be able to access. And
great program.
Yeah,
they have it here in Flint now.
Oh, do they?
They got it in Saginaw as well.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
They've expanded.
Right.
I didn't know. Like you said, these conversations.
Right.
Right.
And so if somebody's listening and they want to find out about that, what do they do? How do they find out?
I think I would just Google NACA, NACA or NACA, NACA. And I think when you go to their website, it'll take you to
that's what
the different
said
areas.
Exactly. People don't know who to ask or what to ask if they don't know what exists. And let's see. Yep. Winter said, "You don't know what you don't know," and
Exactly.
that's exactly
Exactly.
right.
Right.
And
And
that's
so,
why we have to
yep,
bring this information
we
to the
do.
forefront
Right.
and
We
start
do.
Absolutely, I
educating
agree.
people because I'm fed up. I'm tired.
I think we
Yeah.
all are. I
Yeah.
think we all are.
Well, thank you. I feel better.
You're
But
not
you
alone.
know what?
I'm
But
not
you know what?
alone.
If I had to say something about being tired, when we get sick and tired, we get motivated to do
And we've
some
got to,
stuff.
and this is why I was looking forward to you coming on to bring this information, because that was one of the things we said we wanted to do, was educate people about these kinds of resources and services and how we come together
Absolutely.
and build
Mhm.
something
Mhm.
together.
Absolutely.
So you said, so you went and you looked at what was going on in thriving communities.
We did.
And
We looked in Illinois.
mm-hmm.
There's a community in county in Illinois that's predominantly black,
Uh-huh.
doing very well. We looked at North Carolina,
Okay.
same similar thing, and all of these have in common is that it's unison. They're
Mhm.
unified. It's a
So how do we?
forefront.
So what do you do? I mean, we're in
You know what
Flint.
happens?
I mean, really, I'm serious. This
What
is.
what happens in those communities that we see? It's generational.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because when
Let's
they
talk
see that
about
their
it.
mothers and their fathers and their grandfathers, and they just see, it's a sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is they build trust amongst one another. Because you're gonna know who the people are that got your best interests in mind.
Mhm.
And when people of color get to that level, it's a game changer.
Absolutely.
Right.
Those economies are booming.
Then they
in
get a
those
cannon and shoot it right down the middle and blow it up.
Yeah.
So
Drop
we
a
can't
bomb off
continue.
the
Right.
edge.
See,
So
if
we
can
can't
bring
continue
that's
that
my
way.
goal is to bring that to Flint
Right.
and bring that to Saginaw. It's so desperately needed in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But like I said, it's like there's psychological hurdles that we have to overcome here.
Mhm.
There are
Mhm.
things that we have to like overcome in order to be able to come together as a people. Like I said, we know there's strength in number. The
Mhm.
reason we're not doing it, there's a disconnect.
There's a disconnect, and
Yeah.
there's always a division.
Yeah,
Somebody comes and busts up the numbers,
yeah.
and
But
it's like a
it's
pool
also when
table. The balls, they're all together at first, and then you take that
yeah.
shot.
But
And
another thing
one
that
ball.
fosters that is
right,
when you see that there's other people of color that takes advantage of people of color,
Mhm.
it
well,
makes it
say that
really difficult for you to know who's friend or foe.
exactly.
Because all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Mhm.
And so when you know somebody's heart is in the right place for you,
Mhm.
it changes the dynamic drastically. And that's what we're
we were
trying to
talking
do.
about earlier.
Mhm.
That's what we're trying to do is show that our heart is in the right place to be able to make these things happen in a positive way for all of us.
So what are our next steps? What do we do? Because we need this to continue.
Well, like I said, just the conversations. If we can get the word out, that
Mhm.
people can understand that our organization it's here.
It's
Mhm.
here.
We ain't going nowhere. And and you can sign up if you want to come in on a free version on a
Yes.
basic level.
Mhm.
Just get a foot in the door, see what we're doing. That would be a start, and then invite others to join. And like I said, we're trying to
Yeah.
create incentives on the platform to get people to invite others.
Mhm.
You know,
And I want people to sign up.
I do
I want
too.
people to sign up, and I want people to sign up for. I want some people to sign up for the free version, but I also want people to sign up all the way through the professional version.
I want to do. Aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
That's what we said we were going to do.
So
We're signing up.
and so
What?
blacknetworkassociates.com. Blacknetworkassociates.com. And I mean, I think like this information is
It is
this
so
is
necessary.
it's so
I mean, you think about
necessary.
it. I mean, because we used to have a black chamber of commerce. It was called Metro
Right.
Chamber of Commerce.
I know.
We used to have an urban league. We had those
Right.
entities in place that were looking out for economic empowerment in our community,
Mhm.
and make
Practically
We don't
non-existent
have
now.
it's
that.
exactly
I know, not even practical.
exactly.
It's
And you know what? I was in
non-existent. We just
Chicago
don't have that.
at the Chicago Urban League, and I was a little upset because I mean, we need these kinds of
Right.
resources. And so when you were talking, I said we need to spread this information out. And so we
Right.
need to do some more of these conversations around
Right.
this. This isn't like a one and done kind of thing,
Right.
because it's too much there.
Mhm.
There's
So-
too much
Yeah.
there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I was just gonna say again, I don't believe that this is a one show conversation. I believe that this is a conversation that we need to have again, because if you go back to if you watch Channel 17, you may catch some of those earlier episodes where we were talking about just this. But also, I know we don't have a lot of time. Is the what else, or if you wanted to sum something up, or give or tell us something that you didn't have a chance to tell us, what else would you like to leave on the mind of our listening audience right now?
Well, I think we covered a lot in this segment. All I would say is that, what I would want to leave everyone with is, your own motivation for what you want to do with your successes for where you want to be at in your life. What we want to do is just help you to be able to achieve those successes. I think we can do that as a unified front more so than as a singular front. And so I would encourage anyone that have a black owned business, that they want to be able to try to get to the next level. I think we need to kind of unify and come together a little bit. We have a lot of resources. Sometimes we just don't know what all those resources are. And I think when we start pitching in together and start talking about these different resources, because we're just one entity, but there's a lot of other people out there that know more than we do. And when they start coming on the platform, guess what? We start knowing what other information, what they know.
And they know
we become a collective. And that's the one big powerful piece of this that I'm trying to get everyone to understand, is that when we are empowered when we are together, and when we're communicating with each other.
Say that again.
We are empowered.
We are.
When we are together, I would love to leave that on that note, and let everyone know that you're welcome.
And so all they have to do is go on there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping somebody have joined since we've been on the show.
I hope so too.
Go on, join, tell a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this episode. People need to know.
People need to know. And you need to come back, because we need to continue these kinds of conversations. That's one of the things we like to do, is highlight different black-owned businesses. But we like to there's information and education that we need to be getting out there as well.
Yeah.
And this is, and these, where do you have these kinds of conversations?
Right.
Where do you have them? Well, you can have them on Black Money Matters on the 810 News Media platform. You can have all kind of conversations on. Really. Because that's why we're here.
Yep.
That's why we're here, to bring information that's just not readily available to us and to our community.
Right.
And we're going to grow this community, because that's what you were talking about, is coming together.
One of the things that I would like to do is be able to have, this podcast on our platform.
And how do we do that? But that's what happens when we join, right?
Yeah. And we can be able to put, the podcast, so then other members will have access. So it's another way of, broadening
exactly.
Absolutely. Our audience, to be able to be more inclusive of other people, can be able to see and understand what we're doing, and talking about these money matters and these things that are affecting our community.
Right.
I think it'd be great for you guys to be on that platform.
Because we do have to talk about our money matters, because it does. It really does.
It really does. Our money does matter.
And I do.
We have the power to be able to make each other rich.
And so now we've got just a couple of minutes. So I guess we better say thank you for coming on. He will be back. We're going to have him back. But please join Black Network Associates. Go on there. There are different levels.
Join today for free. And then level up.
Yep. And if you can join and level up, then join
level up.
That's right.
Yep.
Level up. Absolutely. And so we want you all I'm gonna say thank you for tuning in. What do we have? A couple minutes left?
We do.
There are two more shows. No, there's one more show coming up. Jannard Lakes.
Yep. So stay tuned.
Yeah, you all stay tuned for Jannard Lakes. I hope this has been a good day.
It's been a good day
as far as information coming out. And we're going to keep bringing it to you.
We're going to keep bringing it to you. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And thank you so much for coming. Yeah. And we look forward to continuing this conversation.
We sure do.
But thank you guys.
Thank you
so much for joining us.
Culpepper. He is the executive director for Black Network Association. And we are getting ready to be members ourselves.
Yes.
So join us.
Tell them
Black Money Matters 810 sent you.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of
Black Money Matters. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.